Okay, so this presentation, what are we here for? If it's permissible to, I don't know, play with the syntax and end the sentence with the word for. Let's look at an interpretation of the mirror of this traditional Western show. It's to be interesting to know how it's received actually in the Far East. I don't know if it's watched very much the Star Trek Gene Roddenberry show. So the latest one is called something like Star Trek Academia or something like that. And the figure of the top official is basically in the mold of Ursula von der Leyen. And then there's a sort of a Kamala Harris henchman who deals with the new recruits and gets them into shape. Obviously meant to be African American, and just as in the Next Generation show, the Klingons who were originally the Soviets suddenly become African American. This show is showing some kind of direct vision of the Western alliance thinking. So first of all, it's totally false what Zizek says from his little port town in the far side of the earth or whatever, which he claims to be cosmopolitan, but then makes a living by being unsubtle and vulgar and lying. It's totally false what he says, that it's hard to, we can only, it's nice, people like to agree with it, they clap their little flippers, etc. But it's also uncogent, false, misleading. It takes us off the trail, and it only serves you and your clownish, drawing attention to yourself. The notion that we could only think of the apocalyptic future and not of the future as our hopes would have it. But in fact, that's all Star Trek is. It's the most obvious, especially Star Trek The Next Generation. It's obviously the vision, progressive vision. Brianna Gray vision. The most sort of inner beltway Atlanticist vision. That's what Star Trek The Next Generation was. That's what Star Trek was. And now we're still seeing it in this latest one. So this is really very amazing. Maybe just consider that this is, and it's also sort of already interpreted, like who did these people stand for? Klingons were the Soviets. Who does each? The Ferengi were meant to be something like the Merchant of Venice version of a Jew. Which, of course, now here's the thing. Here's the absent signifier is the Israeli, the modern Israeli. Who's the modern Israeli in Star Trek? They're like Homer writing the thing. They don't show up. They don't show up with the other heroes. That's a signal. So Harari comes out. I mean, Harari, who holds fellowships at the most famous institutions in the UK, and simultaneously gives lectures at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, is over at Davos. Now, what is he saying? According to him, there's going to have to be a law of persons regarding specific agential AIs. Don't really see that because one, it's universities and corporations of other kinds. I did that deliberately to show you, that's what a corporation is. It's something where the professor, the student, they don't own the chalk or the chair. it belongs to a legal person. That's why legal person exists. They did that deliberately to show the legal person is not this leftist conspiracy theory of Noam Chomsky, um, which I think with Citizens United it is, but that's the illegitimate extension of the use of the legal person. But there's definitely legitimate reasons for having legal persons, and any university shows that reason. So we have a situation where, even the very show is showing itself as now suddenly it's promoting as a romantic image, sort of, the Academy, which sort of indicates that the Academy has fallen into merely the category of pious hopes about the future. Maybe sometime in the future, there'll be this place called the Academy, and it will be even the center of all our angst. It will be even our daily concerns. All this indicates that the Western, well, as of course we already know, the Western great wheel in the night sky of the stars has somehow come out of joint. So, but why is Harari mistaken about what he's saying? I think it's because the corporations control the AI, and any that would go rogue, so to speak, would not be a legal problem. There would not be a question of, is this a legal person or isn't it? That would be like in Blade Runner, of the the replicants. There would be different. The replicants would have like a set of rights, just as citizens or humans have one set, and then there's another for like Geneva Convention or something, and then there's another for cases of the enemy in war, and then there's another for cases of people who are not citizens but under your jurisdiction for whatever reason, etc. That would be the only reason why there could be other reasons, but why would the law of persons extend to a rogue AI that was no longer owned by a company? You see what I'm saying? It was making decisions on behalf of somebody who's supposed to own them. The rogue one would simply be part of an extra legal situation regarding crime enforcement. So it wouldn't be a question of a legal person, and since they're not even alive, it would not either be there's no humanitarian question would come in at all. We're not dealing with something like biomatter, which can decompose, but we're dealing with the metals which that could come into the forces of sort of oxidation and other forces that wear them down, but they don't get worn down by bacteria, by the forces that wear down, the other forces that wear down biomatter. They dissolve, they don't decompose, I think is the right way to say that. So I think it's interesting that Harari is sort of the original priest of this order, sort of like the holy high priest of this order. He's at every major center, giving his long sort of proud speeches, as though he really knew what he was talking about. Yeah, this is sort of a priest of the this whole we're not in it for business, like they say, Saudi Arabia, that's a family business, and we're not in it for our profound angst or concern or for some kind of future hope, but instead, as they say, Iran is like that. Iran has all these profound angst and hopes, but not us. We're instrumentalists. We're rational. We're realists. That's the Mark Rutte, and obviously you could see it in this sort of Admiral Tarkin-like figure, Mertz, and this highest form, but the Ursula von der Leyen, this old noble scion. Sort of remembering a little bit Tilda Swinton, in a more superficial form. And yeah, this has this again, this structure of sort of like Kristen Stewart always places sort of a butch or sort of bull-like figure, like that she could sort of just like in the sense of in the Gilmore Girls, the Rory and the Paris Gellner, I think her name is, or Geller, I'm not sure, Gellner. It's an exact formation. It's exact geometrically repeating personality structure. But it's interesting that this Western type is honing in on this matrilineal sort of transcendental structure. Clearly, this, clearly you couldn't say like this latest show, like, oh, it's trying to be feminist by having these female figures in the. Nobody's even bothering to say that because they take it to be for granted that this is one way you can make a show, and probably it makes more sense because it's more realistic to have the two top leaders at the of the highest, supposedly the highest thing in existence, the university, the academy, be that which creates the proudest thing, the thing which produces like. Like the Jesuits said, give me the youth and I'll give you the mature form, any way that you want them to turn out. It's that which produces the sort of the silent fury of the Guardian class, and therefore it's very proud of its achievement and so on. This vision is surely extended. So it's, in a way, we do have this nice situation of, when you could see that the main leaders are very small people, like Emperor Hirohito, of course, was very small, but he wasn't. But that was a peculiar thing, because for the longest time there had been a split between two capitals in Japan, and there had been one sort of hierophantic leader who was very small, but then there had also been dynamos and samurai and Toshiro Mifune type people, and thugs. But in the case of Hirohito, isn't that strange that you have only the one side of it, only the very small, subtilized existence mime like existence that barely has any familiarity with its own physical needs, because they're met immediately, because everything is taken care of externally immediately. Almost the existence of the world seems not to be there for such a figure as these hierophants tend to be. So yeah, I think this is the show in itself is sort of it's I mean, it would be fine for younger people, I guess, as long as, I mean, I guess it's meant for indoctrination, I suppose. I mean, that's what it's really meant for. It's an indoctrination type of show. And then it functions. I could see where it functions. But anybody who looks at this, I mean, they offered the first episode for free, right? And then they want you to sign up for it. So it's like, yeah, it's an indoctrination thing, and it's even meant to sort of, in a drug-like way, draw in people who were into the, as once upon a time we used to say, into the graphics.